Welcome to From Caving In to Crushing It, the podcast for those who find themselves immersed in adversity and choose to write their story instead of having others write it for them. I'm Drew Duraney, and I'm your host. Dr. Candace Owen, it's so good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Candace Holmes, it was funny. I said Dr. Candace Owen, who's a political person. I just realized that. I had so many. Anytime I get a first name that's very unique and beautiful, I always think of who the original person I heard of. But we're with Dr. Candace Holmes, folks, and Dr. Candace. Whenever I do one of these podcasts, I always thank the person who introduced me to my guest. So Anissa Hudak gets the thank you. So Anissa, thanks again for a wonderful introduction. I'm so glad you introduced me to Dr. Candace Holmes. So, folks, you always know I always talk about in the beginning that when we're young, we're taught that life is linear. That if we do A plus B plus C, D is going to happen. And you know what? For the most part, life is linear until it's not. Ultimately, at some point in our lives, adversity rears its ugly head, that external circumstance that kind of gets in the way of that straight path and creates more of a circuitous route in our lives. Now, when adversity rears its ugly head, we either don't see it or we do see it. And if we do see it, we've got a choice. We either face it or we run away. And because of that, I believe there's three types of people out there, three types of men, three types of women. So we'll go with the women on this one. So woman number one has got so many blind spots that she doesn't even notice the adversity. She just says, "Hey, this is my life I've been told to live, so I'm just going to live it the way it comes and that's what happens." And she doesn't change anything. And I don't have woman number 1 on this show. Then you have woman number 2. Woman number 2 does see the adversity, yet she says it's life doing it to her. So she's the victim. She says that all this adversity are barriers stopping me from doing things. I can't change anything. It is what it is. So she makes no changes in her life, and on her deathbed, she's got so many regrets. I don't have woman number 2 on the show. I have woman number 3 on the show. She's got a heightened self awareness. She sees that adversity and she says, "I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm going to do something different, take massive action, and become a stronger woman on the other side." So, with that, Dr. Candace, if you could reach back as far as you need to for that defining moment in your life, whether it was a tap on the shoulder, a whisper in the ear, or like what I needed, 2x4 upside my head, that really transformed you from the woman you were, whether it was woman number 1 or 2 or both, to the woman you are now, and how that transformation impacted you personally and then professionally.
That moment for me was when I was working as a chiropractic associate for a doctor, and which is when I'm here in Atlanta, and it snowed. It doesn't snow often in Atlanta. It snowed this time. The doctor I was working for is from New York. I'm from Detroit, so he wanted me to come in to
Okay.
work. Now, mind you, schools are closed. Everything's closed.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, okay. So I had my daughters are probably about 7 and 8, no, 7 and 9 at this time. So I had to load them in the car. That means I had to drop them off to my parents,
Okay.
drive there, and then drive back to get to the office.
Right.
And so I loaded them in the car, and I turned on turned the car on, and I had a vision of us getting into a car accident.
Oh boy.
And I don't have visions, but I did that
Oh
day. And I just started
boy.
crying.
Oh
And so
my.
then my daughter started crying, like, "Mommy, why are you crying?" I can't do this. I can't do it. Because, back in New York and back in Detroit, they pre-treat the streets.
That's
Uh,
true.
they
That's
don't do
true.
that here in Georgia.
No.
And so I'm like, you know what? I called the doctor's wife and I was like, "I'm not coming in." And you could have heard a pin drop. I said, I'm thinking to myself, no, I said, "You're not going to sacrifice my children's lives, my life
Yeah.
for $1 because nobody's coming in today."
Hmm.
Nobody thinks, "Oh, let me go
Good
get it
point.
yesterday."
Yeah.
No,
Right.
everything's closed. Everything's
Yep.
closed. And it was
Yep.
that moment I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to let anybody have that much power over me to decide,
Good for
how I
you.
live my life.
Good for you.
That over for money. I mean, that's life is more precious than money.
Right.
That was my moment. And when the contract was up and he didn't renew it, I was like, I'm totally okay with that because it's
Hmm.
it's time for me to leave. This
Good
is
for
this is
you.
not where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
That was my defining moment.
Good for you. You stood up for yourself and self-advocated and advocated for your children. It's amazing where those visions that if we've never had one before, they're so powerful. And there are times when we talked about that number one, number two, and number three. There are times we have that vision and we don't even notice it.
We don't notice it. We're
And
too
so,
thick in the woods, to
hmm
even
hmm
acknowledge it or want to acknowledge.
yep.
It's a
And
process.
it's thankful. You look in the rearview mirror, you see your girls back there, and you're like, nope, nope, absolutely not.
Nope. Nope.
So contracts not renewed. You breathe a sigh of relief, and you
Yes.
realize there's something new. What was that something new? What door opened for you?
Well, I had been a coverage doctor for a long time for other chiropractors, and
Oh,
I'm like, you know what? I can continue. I can start that back up again.
hmm
So I was doing that for a while.
okay,
During this time, my oldest daughter was diagnosed with ADHD,
okay,
and I was in denial, honestly, about that. And the person who diagnosed her is a sorority sister of mine. She's a child psychologist,
right,
and so the plan was to do about 12 or 15 sessions with her, and
right,
after that time expired, my daughter wasn't really getting any better.
okay,
And she said, "Well, you sure you don't want to put her on medication?" I'm like, "Positive." That's why I chose you as a psychologist, not a psychiatrist. I said, "We're not drugging her. We're not. That's
right,
not what we're doing, you
right.
know."
Yep.
And that was the door that opened, another door that opened too, to see what else was out there that didn't involve medication to help her.
I see. Okay. All right. And what I've learned about chiropractors, they're much more open-minded about the entire human body and different ways of doing things. So the fact that you were in the field of chiropractic care, and then you had that epiphany of, I got you as a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, because I didn't want you to, but it forced you in a good way to really dive deep into what are the alternatives I can do for my daughter. So what are some of the alternatives that you unearthed for her?
Well, I first started with a acupuncturist who was also a naturopath. Who was like, okay, let's try that. And so we worked with her, grounding and everything, and she gave her a remedy to take, which are homeopathic little pellets that were going to help, calm everything down. And
Mhm.
she warned me. She said, once she reaches puberty, then her hormones are going to change, and she'll need a different dosage and everything. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. So it was working well for her. I wasn't getting those calls to school. And
Okay.
then I get a call from school, I'm one of those parents who always takes the side of the teacher,
Oh
okay?
boy.
Because they're too busy. I was a substitute teacher for 4 years in
I
middle school. They're too
understand.
busy to just have to take time out to call. So something
Yeah.
has to be like
I,
grossly wrong, right?
right, 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 right.
That she's just not herself today. And so I said, let me speak to her. Like I'm just and she's like, I said, and then something told me, wait a minute, did you take your remedy today? And she said, no. And I was like, I
Oh,
said, okay, okay.
okay.
That was, and something told me, wait a minute, I didn't even ask him. I just went in like, what are you doing? And, this
Yeah.
is not how we behave. And,
Right,
so
right, right, right.
yes, so she did have a reason. And then I realized this is the time. She was 13. So we're at puberty. So what else is there?
Right.
And thankfully, I was going through one of our chiropractic magazines and found an article about neurofeedback therapy, which is
Oh,
what
okay.
totally transformed her life. And
Wow.
so thankful because I was
Tell
at
us
my
a little about it. What is neurofeedback therapy?
Neurofeedback therapy is a sophisticated form of biofeedback. It's a
Mhm.
modality that retrains how the brain functions. It's
Okay.
all computer based. So there are functional ranges that your brain processes information in, and when your frequencies are out of range, then that's when you start having symptoms from like anxiety, depression,
hmm
ADHD, PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, and
Right.
so. That's the one thing that changed everything. And I'm so thankful that, the chiropractor who wrote it, who's one of my former professors, wrote the article about neurofeedback because he was trying to find a solution for his nephew who has Asperger's. And he
Okay.
taught me. And you know how you're in school and
Yeah.
someone who's just brilliant.
Yeah.
He's one of those brilliant ones. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Right.
like if he founded the company, there has to be something to it. So I did the research, spoke with the
Right.
doctors, and I was like, okay, this is what we're doing because I don't have anything else. I don't have anything
So
else.
what specialist does perform the neuro? Was
It's
it?
across the board. You have medical doctors, you have chiropractors, you have
Okay. So
mental
it
health
doesn't.
professionals.
Okay.
It runs the gamut. It's just someone who has an interest in it and who gets trained and certified in it, who can perform it.
And what's it called again?
Neurofeedback. Hmm.
Neurofeedback. All right. No, because my son's 23 and he's on the autism spectrum disorder, and it's the Asperger's too. So
Yes,
I wonder
yes.
that might be something, since it's not a prescription drug, it might be something he's interested in learning,
Oh
because if it does
no.
retrain the brain.
And what
Um,
I love about it is that the results can last up to 30 years. So it's drug free and non-invasive, and it's It's totally life changing and transformative. And
Man,
that's
I'm gonna look into
oh my gosh.
neurofeedback. All
It
right.
totally changed my life and her life and her whole family's life just as a result. You know, you
All
change
right.
one person in a family, everybody.
Absolutely. It's so true. It's so true.
Hmm.
Because I always say as my son goes, the whole family goes.
That's it.
And
That's
yeah,
it.
it puts a lot of pressure on the individual with special
Oh yes,
needs.
and the ones caring for the individuals
And
too.
the ones caring. Yeah,
'Cause
it's a
that's
whole
people
it's a
don't talk about
cycle.
that part.
Yeah, no. So, all right, so that's great. So now you helped your daughter and you helped your practice because now you could offer that to other people and
Absolutely.
that also helps. So, we're doing the covering doctor for a while, and
Mhm.
then what changed then with the profession?
What changed then is that work isn't always consistent.
Right.
And so, with adding neurofeedback therapy to my practice, I said, let me get a brick and mortar, you know. And I'm so thankful for one of my colleagues who was reminding me that I didn't need 1,500 square feet. You know, she was like, keep your overhead low. And I'm
Okay, okay,
like,
okay.
you're right. You know, in school, they're like, you open up the office, you put your sign out, and people will just come on in.
Yeah, that's what the thing way we do think that. Can you
Is
do
it?
neurofeedback remotely?
You can, yes.
You can.
90% of it is done virtually. So I have a national practice, so I care for those outside of
Wonderful.
the state of Georgia.
Okay. So tell me the biggest success story in your individual practice, especially with neurofeedback.
Oh, neurofeedback.
Well, it doesn't have to be neurofeedback. Give me just the best success story in general, and then we'll get to the best success story with neurofeedback. I want to hear both.
Well, in general, it honestly, I've had the biggest transformations with neurofeedback.
It has.
So
Okay. So we'll
I
go
had
over.
a patient who called me. He had been suffering with a condition called a new daily persistent headaches for 11 years. So
Hmm.
for 11 years, he had headaches every day. And when we first met, we met, you know, virtually, and his background is dark. Obviously, you know, he's always, and he was pleasant. I said, I said, if I had headaches every day,
Yeah, I wouldn't be
I
as
would not be
pleasant as
pleasant.
you.
I'm just trying to tell you. He said, well, I'm
Yeah.
used to it, doc. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And he found out about me through a podcast, but I didn't know he mentioned someone's name, but I didn't know
Yeah.
who he was mentioning. But I was like, okay. And
Okay.
so went through the process. His wife is a medical doctor.
Okay.
So he's had all the diagnostic testing. He's had
Right.
everything medicine could offer him.
Okay.
And after we did the consultation, I'm like, yes, you know, you are a candidate. Let's, you know, are you ready to start? He said, well, you know, our son is going to college and, you know, the
Right.
things, you know, and all the things. And I said, I understand. I said, and at some point, you have to take care of yourself
Right.
so that you can take care of others. And he was like, okay, you know, and I was like, all right, well, you know, and so I followed up with him, you know, probably about 6 months or so, just like every couple of weeks, you know, how you doing? You know, I didn't want to bother him. I just really
Right.
care about people.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, I just do.
Yeah.
And so that tapered off. And 2 years later, I was checking my messages and there was a message on there from him.
Oh, wow.
He was like, you know what, Doc? He said, I was thinking about what's happened over these last 2 years. And he said, and nothing's changed.
Oh boy.
He said, so I'm ready. I already told my wife, look, I love you. We've tried it your way. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And so started with him. I connected him with a colleague, you know, where he's in Maryland. So I connected with a colleague there. He went there to get his brain mapped and we started the program with him.
Okay.
And when you first start the program, it can be a little frustrating because your brain is trying to learn new things. Just like I tell
Mhm.
people, when you start riding a bike, you don't immediately just take off with no training wheels. It's a process.
Right. Right.
It's a
Absolutely.
process.
Yeah.
And so I was, you know, supporting him, and he was like, you know, he said, I'm just so frustrated. He said, because, you know, it just shows me how messed up my brain is. And I said, just shows you where your brain is at this time.
Right.
I said, you know, that's neuroplasticity. Things can change. This is just this moment. I said, but you keep at it, keep at it. And so I'm supporting him. His brain is transforming. And when he would go on vacations prior to neurofeedback with his family, he would have to stay the majority of the time in the room
Oh boy.
because he couldn't function in dark
Yeah.
room. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
his family would go out to dinner, you know,
Right.
on excursions and everything, and he's just
Right.
there. After working with neurofeedback in one of my programs, my brain transformation acceleration program, he went from that to having lights in the back, going from having headaches every day to once a week. And then by the time he finished my program, 1 or 2 times a month. And instead of being at the 9, 10 mark, they were maybe like a 1 or 2.
A big difference. Oh my
I
gosh.
mean,
What
oh my gosh,
what a
I
transformation.
was a little on edge because I was thinking his wife was going, like when we did, you know, his wife is going to be, you know, sometimes,
Yeah.
well, all the time. I will not
Yeah.
accept patients, especially if they're married, if the spouse isn't on board, because
Okay.
I don't play that game. I
Was
don't.
she on board?
She was.
All
And I
right.
was
Good.
like, okay,
Good.
you know, because I told him, I was like, look, I said, we're not gonna start this if she's not on board. She was on board.
All right.
And he is also a track coach. and he was still
Oh,
coaching,
oh my
and
gosh. Can you
he stopped
imagine
having
being a
headaches. So
track
he's,
coach? Yeah, imagine having the headaches in the sunlight and the
oh my
track and
gosh,
doing
oh my
all
gosh.
that.
Well, he competed nationally
Oh my
and
God.
won gold medals nationally
Oh
in his
wow.
age range. And
Yeah.
then he said you're a godsend, as
Yeah.
he gave me and he said I'm going to participate in the international competition, and he ended up placing, I think, in the top 10 in the world
God bless.
in
That's
that.
awesome. That is
And he was
awesome.
like, I owe it all to you. And I'm like, I said
Well,
God first,
he did the work. God, and then he did the work too. And you. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And so that,
Right.
that just, just makes me so happy because I just, like I said, I get a slight headache and I'm
You're not as sweet as you are now.
no,
Okay.
not at
All
all.
right.
Not at all. And I know this, but
Yeah.
I can't imagine 13 years.
I could not. I could not
I,
imagine. No, no way. So I don't want to gloss over when you mentioned about brain map.
Mhm.
So you would refer, people who do, like, what specialty does a brain map? Is that a neurologist, or who does a brain
No,
map?
because remember, neurologists are all medical.
Oh, that's
That's
true. I want to give
yeah,
that.
they're
Okay.
not,
All right.
no. So we
All right. So who
have
does a brain map?
acupuncturists, we have naturopaths, we have chiropractors, we
Okay.
have, like I said, mental health professionals,
All right.
counselors, therapists, psychologists. It runs the gamut. Some medical
Okay.
doctors who are
All right.
more
A little
wellness
more
based.
progressive, yeah.
Yes, let me say. I'm
So
sorry, how do I say that? Look,
so you'd be able, like, let's say I'm in New Jersey and
mhm,
I wanted to work with you for my son,
mhm.
you would be able to link us up with somebody who does a brain map in this
I'll go in my
area.
database. Yes, get your
You
zip
would do
code
that.
and contact
Like,
the office and see if they're open to working with me, and then send you there,
wonderful.
just like I would send someone out for blood work, and then they give me the results. I upload into my system, and then I
Yep.
manage your care from there.
Ooh, I may be contacting you after this recording. Okay.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, they've got to want it too. The
Yeah,
individual has,
absolutely.
has got
Absolutely.
to
And I've
need
had
it and
parents who say, I
want to
don't
do it.
know,
And
I don't know
parents,
if
yeah.
he or she is
Yeah.
going to make the commitment. And I tell the child, it's like, look, I said, your
Yeah.
parents are making an investment in you and your future.
Absolutely.
My goal is to help my patients become as self-sufficient, independent as they can. And I said, if you're
Absolutely.
not going to do this, then we don't need to work together.
Yeah,
What
it's
kind of
it's
like,
yeah, it's
I'm like,
it's
yeah, I'm
true.
a straight shooter. I don't
No, no,
gloss over
it's
anything.
really the support system is as important as the individual wanting to do it, because
Absolutely.
they may want to do it, and if no one's supporting them, it breaks down pretty quickly.
Very quickly.
Yeah, yeah,
And unfortunately, there are some people who aren't as supported. That's one of the questions I ask in our initial
yeah.
neuro health screening. Are you
Right.
supported?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, anything we haven't covered that you want to let the audience know about your practice?
Oh, sure. Neurofeedback is effective. It works well with children as young as 5 and up.
Hmm.
It's not just if you've had some condition diagnosed. Like I use it for
Right.
stress relief and to make sure that my brain stays sharp. My goal is to be a centenarian, still driving,
Hmm.
coming around the corner on 2 wheels like I do now, just
Gotcha,
with
gotcha.
as sharp and as cognitively available as possible.
Hmm.
That's my goal. I have elite athletes who also want to work with me just to
Hmm.
have optimal performance in what they do and in the brain, because the brain controls everything. So when your
Right.
brain is optimally working, then it's
Hmm.
a beautiful thing. Did you ever see the movie? I think it was called Lucy.
I didn't
This
know.
this character in the movie had her brain working at 100%. So I think we're only
Okay.
using about 10 or 20% of our brain, and hers was
Mhm.
100%. And I was
Oh
like,
my
oh my
gosh.
God, it was just boom, 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 boom. I'm like,
Wow.
oh, I mean, there's so much potential there
There
that
is, yeah.
we
Yeah.
haven't even discovered or uncovered yet. So
Yeah,
neurofeedback
actually,
is,
isn't that on the high end 10%? Or is
yes, I
that's on the
think,
high end? I think
I
the
believe it.
average is around, I don't know, 3 or 4, something like that.
Mhm,
Yeah, which
mhm.
is unbelievable. You figure how important the brain is, and we don't use, yeah, we use a small piece of it. I also, like, am amazed by about how much information comes through our brain, and how little we process. Like, I think we hear 70,000 words a
A
day or something
day.
like that,
Yes.
and we only retain like 1,400.
Oh, that, and then out of those thoughts, 80% of those thoughts are negative, and
80%
then
of thoughts are
95%
negative.
of those negative thoughts are repetitive. So it's a constant battle to stay in a highly vibrational, positive state of mind. So no wonder
Absolutely.
anxiety and depression are, rampant, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, people taking, their
Yeah.
lives. It's a lot.
Right.
None,
And most of us don't realize that the thoughts are fleeting. They just are happenstance. They just happen, and then they're fleeting, and then they can go away if we don't repeat them. But then, if you, like you said, if many thoughts are repeatable, yeah, if we're only in our own brain, that's why it helps to talk, man, and to
big time,
share
big
with
time.
experts about, yeah.
Yeah.
So So,
And saying that too, I also co-manage with other professionals. So I tell people, my degree is not in psychology.
right,
If you're
right.
having a challenge, go talk to your counselor. I'll just tell you not to do that. That's all I have. I said, so,
No,
I
that's
stay in my
great.
lane.
Yeah. Well,
Yes,
I
I
mean,
stay.
I always trust the practitioner who will admit when she has gone beyond her expertise and says, you know what, I may not be the right person for this piece, but
Mhm.
as long as you surround yourself with curated individuals who are
Yes,
experts,
you
who are
have a team.
quality. Yes, having a team is so important.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the audience certainly has captured the essence of Dr. Candace Holmes, and they're going to want to get in touch with you. So Dr. Candace told me the best way is to go onto her website, and it's Brain Core of Duluth, DELUTH.com. What will we see when we go to your website, Dr. Candace?
On my website, you will see all the conditions that neurofeedback works well with. You'll also have the opportunity to purchase my book because I wrote it's called Transform Your Brain with Neurofeedback,
There we go.
just because most people haven't heard of this.
Right.
And you'll also have the opportunity to schedule your neurohealth screening with me to see if you are a candidate for neurofeedback therapy.
Wonderful. So people pick up by that book. I'm writing it down.
Mhm.
Transform your brain with neurofeedback. I'm intrigued by this because human behavior,
Oh yes,
starts up there,
it's
man.
it's it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating.
So when do you think you really got interested in the whole brain idea? How young were
When
you?
when I remembered, that the brain has the ability to change and to transform and to be different than it is today.
Do
Most
you
people
remember
think,
when you may have like how young you were? I'm just trying to
oh,
get an idea of what triggered this interest, if you can
honestly,
remember.
I didn't really think about it until my daughter was suffering from these
Well,
things.
that's just, but yeah, yeah,
And looking
usually that's
back,
how it is. Yeah.
I do remember, being placed in positions of authority
Right.
by parents, by
Right.
school members.
Yeah.
Like in church, they had me, reading the scriptures in front of the church and all these things. And
Mm.
apparently, my brain handled being in front of people, without having any anxiety or concerns, better
Right.
than most because I was always chose. I was like, I don't want to read today, but I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess I'm
Yeah.
supposed to, and
Yeah.
you just do what you're told. So,
Right.
um,
Interesting.
it was a gradual thing.
All right. So I want to throw something at you that other people have talked to me about, and I want to see where this fits with neurofeedback or if it fits at all, if there's some kind of combination therapy. But people are telling me that there's a product out there that helps remove toxins from the brain. Supposed to be a supplement. Sounds cool to me. What do you know about whatever toxins could be in the brain? They talk about microplastics or metals in the brain. So if those do indeed exist and impact the behavior, the brain function, how can neurofeedback help if those things really exist and all that kind of stuff?
Well, sure. In my practice, you have a questionnaire that you have to fill out because
Mm.
your metabolic processes play a huge part in how your brain works.
Okay,
There's a gut-brain axis and connection. So
absolutely.
you essentially you are what you eat.
Right,
Whatever you eat goes to the brain or doesn't go to the brain.
right.
So absolutely, inflammation is the biggest stressor to the brain, and
Okay,
inflammation often comes from diets that aren't so great, and then
right,
the metals that we have just from maybe cavities that we've had filled
right,
or
right.
the pesticides that we have on food. It's an
Gotcha.
exhaustive list, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately,
Right.
but yes,
Right.
there I can actually see how the supplements and nutrition it plays a huge part.
Okay. And neurofeedback can help in and of itself. Let's say somebody's not on the supplements and they
Hmm.
have the metals and those toxins in the brain. Can neurofeedback still help that individual?
Absolutely. And
Okay.
in the report that comes out that from the brain mappings that my patients receive, there are suggested supplements based on how your brain is functioning. That would be,
Oh, okay.
yes. So
Okay.
I offer that to my patients as well, and I'll send them to some other wellness affiliates that I have, if they don't know someone who can help them in in that area.
Beautiful. That's good to know because I do know that there's also a test called from GeneSight, which you can, I think it's a swab. You swab yourself and send it in, and then gives you an idea of your DNA and how your body will handle certain medications. So at
Yes,
least the
yes.
doctor has a choice of starting at a certain dosage and a certain class of medicine and all that kind of stuff. So I'm glad there's something like that
Oh,
with the whole
absolutely.
neurofeedback
Absolutely.
and brain mapping. That's great to know. All right, you know what? I got two questions for you.
Okay.
The first one's definitely my favorite of the two. You are in your happy place and you are sitting down with 7 to 10-year-old Candace, and you want to give her advice about life. What are you going to tell her?
I'm going to tell her that not everyone is her friend,
Mhm.
and that even though a challenge happens today, that doesn't mean it's going to be there forever.
Right,
And trouble doesn't always last. Um, and just to keep trusting God, and knowing
right,
that He has a plan, and you don't even understand it, at this
right,
time, but you
right.
will later.
I love that advice. Especially, I really do love the advice of not everybody's your friend, because the way children nowadays define friendship, it's pretty scary. It's like meet them online and during a
Yes.
video game, and all of a sudden
Mhm.
that's your friend.
Your friend.
Woo! All right,
Yes.
so let's switch gears. Now you're sitting down with young entrepreneur, young businesswoman, Dr. Candace, and you want to
Mhm.
give her advice about business. What are you going to tell her?
Get a mentor as soon as possible. They will save you lots of time, aggravation, and money. So,
Yeah.
and consider that to be an investment as opposed to an expense. It's an
I love
investment
that.
when you can glean from someone else's experiences and they can help guide you, because all the coaches that
Absolutely.
I've had and mentors that I've had have really been, everyone played a part. Thank you for this that I got from this one and this that I got from
Sure.
that one to make what the business that I have today, and the systems that I have in place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love that. Get a mentor who's been through what you want to get to, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Candace, I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming into my world again. And Nissa, thank you for the introduction.
Thank you, Anissa.
Dr. Candace, you're doing some amazing things for people, and I learned so much today, and I'm sure the audience did too. So thank you very much.
Oh, I'm so thankful that you had me. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
It's been great. Everybody out there, please take care of yourselves. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and give us a review to help others find it. I'd like you to answer this question. Are you living the life you want to live, or are you living the life others want you to live? I'd like you to think about that for a second, because I strongly suggest you live the life you want to live. If you want to learn more about what I stand for and my services and how I'm able to help many men get out of their own way, please go to my website at www.profitcompassion.com. Feel free to also email me at drew@profitcompassion.com. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Take care of yourself and choose to write your own story instead of letting others write it for you.